Hi, welcome to another edition of our AI Smart Labs. And we've got the news for January, what are we? January 14th, 2026. Um, a big topic of conversation that I have been seeing being requested for these conversations and having with people is about AI SEO or GEO. And we'll be uh, I'm going to be speaking at the Global AI Council session at the end of the month. It is Wednesday, January 28th, I believe, and from 5 to 6 Pacific. And we'll be talking about AI SEO slash GEO, how to be found in AI search, what you need to be doing. Because there are some tactically different things. Good SEO is still good, but there are some things that can help you be found by AI. And we'll be talking about that. In other news, OpenAI brings ChatGPT into hospitals now, and they've got a healthcare focused offering. And this is aimed at helping clinicians with clinical and administrative work. This rollout is hitting major health systems, including Advent Health, HCA Healthcare, Cedars-Sinai, and Stanford Medicine Children's Health. And these are supposed to be HIPAA oriented controls, it says, but HIPAA compliant, including options for customer managed encryption keys and citations to clinical sources so that they can get a broad verification. And we'll see how that goes. I have been to doctors where they had their own AI that they were using, a specific healthcare AI. And it's one of the toughest environments for AI because it's so highly regulated and it's also so ripe for opportunity. We cover these AI healthcare things every single week. And we have created a HIPAA compliant AI for women where it's trained on only research data that is done on women. And you can test it out at cyclewise.ai and get on the list for the HIPAA compliant version where you'll be able to upload your blood test results, things like that, and get information, get insight in a HIPAA controlled environment, HIPAA compliant, and your data will be living in Switzerland. So it's much safer there. Check out cyclewise.ai and it is free for women forever. And we actually like to say uterus owners because however you identify, non-binary, if you were born with a uterus, maybe you got it taken out early, this can still help you. Because I've got some friends who had to have hysterectomies in their 30s. And you know what? They still have the same hormonal issues and even additional ones too that Cyclewise can help with. MIT is doing a practical test for whether the clinical AI is memorizing patient data. And even though the records have been scrubbed so that it should not identify, they're making sure that it's private and that AI is not forming a picture of a person based on the medical input information. Um, and so it's one to watch because the risk in there would be privacy and how much knowledge people would be able to get, and people, I mean, hackers would be able to get, because we would not want this medical information to be leaked, especially if it's not anonymous. Siemens and NVIDIA have been working with industrial AI with digital twin copilots so that scenarios can be run using digital twins and save on actual testing. Waymo does this too, where they will create a digital environment to mimic real world environment, and they test it in the digital environment first and then find out what issues they encounter and then bring it to real world physical changes. And so this helps reduce the cost of testing. And you can also test things on digital twins that you would not necessarily test with real humans. So it's a safer environment. It turns these high stakes decisions into safe experiments. Um, and I think we can all take a little bit from this. I have a lot of friends who, when they're looking at making business decisions, they've created virtual boards so they can run the business decisions by a set of diverse experts. So you could have, I mean, you can have anybody you want on your virtual board. You could have Abraham Lincoln if you wanted to, or you can have a CFO profile so that you can run it by a CFO, a COO, a lawyer, an intellectual property lawyer. So when you have these business ideas or opportunities, even thinking about mergers, you can run it by this set of virtual experts. And this is becoming much more accessible. You can even do this with multiple custom GPTs and run it through different scenarios. Um, we like to run some of the things that we do through the different AI models because they will give us insights that vary from model to model. And we always learn more when we take something that we got from ChatGPT and run it through Gemini and ask Gemini to look at it with a critical eye, or ask Claude to look at it through a critical eye. So even on a really rudimentary level, it's helpful for us to evaluate some of the things that we've been working on. And more regulation is coming into effect in the US. Um, this includes transparency obligations in California. Um, and that includes activity around elections, chatbots, disclosures, and there are different court actions that are trying to enforce age verification for kids using AI. And I think that this is something we'll definitely be keeping an eye on, and we want to see how enforced these are. In the article, it says that they'll be tested, likely tested very soon, and tested means people will be taking these ideas to court. Um, and for you to stay compliant, one of the most simple things you can do is make sure all your instructions for all your agents are stored in a folder somewhere, a file somewhere. Like we have a Google Drive and we have a folder that has instructions for the agents that we build. Then it's easy to show our training data and what we use. Something to consider is, do you own that training data? And are you compliant for local laws? But a big part of it is that you own the training data. So if you take a book and upload it into a custom GPT that is publicly available, that's a liability, unless it's your book and you own all the intellectual property rights. Some books that have been coming out recently explicitly say you cannot use this information for training AI. And some books may explicitly say, please use this information to train your AI. But that's something to keep an eye out for. And that'll just be in books that have come out in the last year or so, because it wasn't even a consideration before all of this AI training came into question. So be sure that you own the intellectual property rights to anything that you are using to train your custom GPTs or your agents or your gems. And then also your customers might want to know about this, what you're doing for compliance, and also how safe their data is in your tech stack. And so it would be good to keep your tech stack on hand, like the list of all of the tools that you use. You can see ours on our website at AI Smart Ventures, our resources page. We use all of these tools too. And a next level is to understand how the tools use the data that is input to them, and what your internal kind of rules, regulations are for yourself, for your company, are around using client data inside AI tools. Because you would want to know And your clients might want to know if your database even is HIPAA compliant, and how private you keep their information. So though it would be best practice to update your AI use policy and make sure that you include information about privacy, how you do use your client's data, how you don't use your client's data in these different tools, and the level of privacy and security that the tools have. And we've got more US court and AI rulings. Um, they are, there's a question on if AI, whether AI on with copyrighted content qualifies as fair use. And different judges are having different approaches to this. So we definitely want to keep an eye on copyright fair use questions, especially those of you who are creating. What do you allow other people to use? And if you are building things, making sure that you own the IP so that what you're building is solid. And you can even have data agreements between companies that, hey, this is okay if you use our information. You just want to make sure that you're covered. Tools to try this week. Pictory. Pictory is an oldie but goodie. They do keep on making updates. It's a fun tool that's really easy to use for making videos. You can make videos from blogs, you can make videos from PowerPoints, you can make videos from a pile of photos, you can make videos from just a prompt and an idea. It's really, really easy to use. You can do voiceover with your voice. You can use AI voiceover. You can have songs on these as well. It's really easy to make commercials or promotional videos for your business using Pictory. It will also upgrade your presentations too if you do something in Pictory, but it's a really easy one to use. And then OpenForge, which is the AI SEO / GEO / AIO platform that will give you insights to how much your brand is being surfaced for what questions. So when somebody asks a question on ChatGPT, do you show up and what do you show up for? Do your competitors show up? OpenForge gives you all this information, and it also gives you great prompts for really good content that you'll want to put up on your website as landing pages and blogs. It's our favorite AI SEO tool right now. We love OpenForge because we can actually produce really good AI content using the prompts that we get from there, and we get insights. We get insights on what we're showing up for, what our competition is showing up for. We can even have custom queries. So things that I think people might be searching for that would want to engage with us. And what we've learned is people use different words than we do. A common search term that is used in ChatGPT that we hadn't thought of was AI overhaul. So you can get insights from this, things that you might not be expecting people to be searching for when they need what you have. And then you can also put the ones that you know in there and track and see how much, how often people are searching for those things and if you're showing up for that or not, and who is showing up for it. Suno AI is a fun music platform. You can get a license, you can get a subscription to Suno that allows you to use the music commercially that you're producing in there. And it has thousands of genres and subgenres of music. But if you're an organization where you produce videos consistently, podcasts, if you have even the walkout music for keynote speeches, you can produce all of that right inside of Suno. I've done walkout music for some friends too. It's pretty fun to play with, and you can get commercial license for that. We'll be kicking off another Applied AI Level 1 certification course at the end of January, and we do everything to help you make sure you have a good AI use policy in the beginning and introduce you to a list of tools and terms and how to fact check and make sure that your company has workflows, SOPs, systems in place so that you're using AI responsibly. We go into prompt engineering, advanced prompt engineering, spreadsheets, how to create agents. It's all the basics that you need to know in order to start using AI for work. And it's fun. We get into images and video too. And then there's a section in here that walks you through how to turn images into a video using Pictory. So that is all in here. And I think that's all we have for today. If you have any topics that you would like for us to cover, questions to answer, how-tos to do, please email info@aismartventures.com and we will do our best to add your questions to the newsletter and answer the how-tos. We produce how-to content videos. We do it every week. So if there's something that you want to know how to do with AI, please just ask